Welcome to Section 420, Talkin Yankees, the podcast. Well, Yankees Plan B is under full effect, picking up the left-hander Max Fried, which kind of announced on the YouTube episode, but they really break out down here for you audio podcast subscribers, so we'll get into that. And also Yankees making some additional moves, bringing back, I guess so to speak, Jonathan Loáisiga, even though he technically never left, on a one-year deal with a one-year option for 2026, so I'll kind of give you my thoughts on that. And there's some swirling rumors around that the Yankees are in the hunt for Astros outfielder Kyle Tucker, the left-handed hitter there that plays right field, which actually would be kind of a perfect replacement for someone like Juan Soto. Yes, he's not going to be as good as Juan Soto, but if you lose a left-hander at bat and you lose a right fielder, this is someone you can insert right there, plug it as a replacement. So we'll get into those rumors as well as who the Yankees might have to give up in order to get him. So get into a lot of stuff this episode and kind of do a little bit better job of introducing Max Fried. Again, did drop it on the YouTube episode. If you want to go there, check it out. So go to Section 420 Talkin Yankees, subscribe to the YouTube show there. A lot of it had to do with Juan Soto, but also introduce Max Fried, but kind of elongate that here, which is why you also want to make sure you subscribe to this podcast if you're listening right now, and if you haven't done already, Section 420 Talkin Yankees, the podcast. Got a lot of hot stuff going up. The winter meetings are going on, and again, it seems to be a lot of activity, so you want to get all the news updates, my feedback, and all the great stuff. Make sure you're a podcast subscriber. So, I guess the Yankees kind of left holding the bag there, with Juan Soto bolting for Queens, and you kind of have this boatload of money, which is like, wanted to spend it to bring it back, but then maybe there's part of you that's, has the devil on the other shoulder that's kind of happy to spend it because then you could use it in some other areas there. So remains to be seen again whether long term that would have been, was good for the Yankees that Soto walked off or not. But nevertheless, the Yankees making some moves right away, and one of them being Max Fried, who I did mention that the Yankees were in talks with him. Now, there wasn't like really deep rumors, and supposedly they just had like one Zoom call really. So this wasn't like a real heavy courting system by the Yankees that wheel them in here. But I guess when you have the money that you didn't expect to spend on Soto, you can then push it around to some of the other areas. So that was the silver lining of Soto walking. As I mentioned, you could go after Max Fried, maybe Christian Walker at first base, make a gamble on a free agent, which you normally wouldn't, like someone like Loáisiga, who's just coming off Tommy John surgery, just because you have this money to spend now and you got to put a good team out there. Just because when you're losing Soto, then you got to improve in some other areas to kind of make up for that. You can't replace Soto, but you can still put a very, 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 very good team out there. So they bring in Max Fried, a record-breaking contract for a left-hander. So sign him at 8 years at $218 million. Now he's 30 years old right now, but still, his birthday's coming up soon, so he'll be 31 to start the season. So now you kind of have to lug this guy for 8 years. I mean, that's kind of a lot for a guy. Again, it's on the other side of 30. Again, not terribly over the other side of 30, but this is someone you're going to have to hope that doesn't break down at 35, 36, 37. And we saw Chris Sale have a good bounce back this season, but his last couple of seasons with Boston/Atlanta have been kind of turbulent, again with injury. And you see again when some of these players hit the mid to late 30s, especially pitches with like funky arm side motions like that, those things crop up there. And the Yankees did experience a little of that as well with CeCe Sabathia until he finally kind of reinvented himself and kind of got back on the right track there. But he had a couple of years where he also too was struggling to find it there and had some injuries. So the Yankees taking a little bit of a gamble here, and Fried has had some minor injuries in the past. There, he does crop up on him, so he's not one of these guys that's 100,000% durable. But last season start 29 games, so that's good enough. But a couple of seasons ago he did have a much more of a rash of injuries. So kind of like some of the Yankees experienced with Carlos Rendon. The injury bug bit him a little bit when he was with the White Sox. Seemed to go away when he was with the Giants, and the Yankees took the gamble on him. And overall, you could kind of say it did work. I mean, even though that first season was somewhat problematic. So again, you are taking a little bit of a gamble with the guy, but you're getting one of the best starters in the game. And since 2020, he's had the lowest ERA amongst starters. Now his numbers from last season, again, not impressive because he was on a Braves team that missed the playoffs. If you remember that final showdown, there was like that one game between them and the Mets. So it was that doubleheader that the Braves had to win both in order to get into playoffs. The Mets won one of the games, so that officially knocked the Braves out of the postseason. So him pitching on not exactly a stellar Braves team, but nevertheless went 11-10 last season with a 3.25 ERA. Even for him, that's high, but still amongst other stars, that's still pretty damn good. And I mentioned he started 29 games. And if you want to look back at his entire career, a very impressive 73-36 with a even more impressive 3.07 ERA. Former World Series champions with the 2020-21 Braves World Series team. Two-time All-Star, including just coming off this season. And he fields his position well, a la like someone like I can't say he's as good as Greg Maddux or Mike Mussina, but he does have 3 gold gloves fielding his position, so it's almost having like an extra infielder there. Now, he comes at you, he's a lanky type of guy, so he's not like a Carlos Rodon's more of a bulldog type, how he comes at you. Throws high velocity, 97, 98, but he kind of he's 6'4", so he comes at you a bit of a lanky guy. He could dial up to 97, but he also, he freezes a lot of batters on a 79 mile per hour fastball. Again, he's able to freeze a lot of right-handed hitters like that, so he can get out the lefties with the power stuff, and he can also freeze right-handers with the breaking stuff there. So postseason, overall, in 12 starts, he's experienced some hardships in the postseason, but he's also, won a big game. So he does come in with experience. And again, he does have a ring on his finger, so he's been there, done that, and he now joins a rotation, which includes Garrett Cole, him, Rendon, Luis Gil, reigning American League Rookie of the Year, and then the 5th spot there is kind of a smorgasbord. Probably you go with Stroman just because you're paying him money, you have him on the hook for one more season, but you also have Clark Schmidt in the mix, as well as someone like Nestor Cortez. Now, I personally think this might be the goodbye for Nestor Cortez. Unfortunately, this past season hasn't been good for him. This kind of that guy he was 2 years ago. Unfortunately, just hasn't been able to get a renaissance to recapture that that sort of magic he had when for someone like his body type and just the way he was, you didn't expect much from him, but he was like one of the best starters in the game. But unfortunately, by the end of the 2022 season, had to leave that playoff game against the Astros with the groin injury, and was never really the same after that. Again, not really a great 2023, 2024, ups and downs a little bit, but it just seems like the honeymoon, the party might be a little over with Nestor Cortez, unfortunately, because he's a very likable guy. So maybe if the Yankees make some sort of move, probably, again, if you have a plethora of arms, might be Nestor, then the Yankees might try to shop around. Which then brings us to the other swirling rumors out there regarding Kyle Tucker from the Houston Astros. His name's being thrown around there, as well as Cody Bellinger, who, we mentioned that, that's, him to the Yankees as well. But there's 2 different rumors. One of Tucker potentially going to the Cubs for Bellinger, and then, of course, Bellinger potentially coming here to the Yankees, and, of course, another one for Tucker to potentially come here for the Yankees. But for the Yankees, in order to get him, unfortunately, it would take a little bit more than just Nestor Cortez. Seemingly, there's a rumor out there that they would want Luis Gil, which you kind of understand, a power right-hander, and most importantly, he doesn't hit free agency until 2029, so he's under control for, 25, 26, 27, 28. So you have someone that's basically under control for the next 4 seasons. Yeah, you'll have to go to arbitration with him, but you don't have to really shell out any big money until 2029. And if you don't want to, you can just let him walk. And again, he's right now in his prime. Just came off winning the Rookie of the Year award there. And again, after a full major league season under his belt after his Tommy John surgery, he's probably only going to get better at this. And for the Yankees, it would make total sense. He's a pesky type of hitter. Whether he was with the Oakland A's or with the Astros, he just always seems to be a tough out for the Yankees, and hits a lot of home runs at Yankee Stadium. And you look at last season. Now, he did miss a significant time with a shin fracture, but he was an All-Star last year, and despite missing a lot of time, still put up some good numbers. Hit 289, 23 home runs, and 49 RBIs. Again, been one of the better right-handed power hitters. Just kind of a short, stubby guy there over the past couple of seasons. And I mentioned again this free agency class. Overall, once you take Soto off the board, hasn't been the greatest. So, if you want to replace Soto, you're going to have to get inventive and do other ways. And again, a trade might be one of those options of bringing in Tucker here to play right field and keep Judge in center. Or if you make a deal with the Cubs, bring Cody Bellinger in here. And, Bellinger can play multiple positions. He can play a little first base. He can play center field. And maybe you could give Judge a blow there and have Judge play right field there. So, Yankees have a few options, but again, in order to get Tucker, looks like they may have to include an arm. And again, I think the Astros are not going to settle for Nestor Cortez. They're going to want a little something more than that. Now, potentially, maybe they'll take Clark Schmidt, who had a really good season for the Yankees. When he had his opportunities at this 5th start, I know he missed a chunk of time being injured there, but again, an impressive year, for a first-year full-time starter for the Yankees, and he's still under control for a couple more seasons. He doesn't hit free agency until 2028, so not as long and not as juicy as Luis Gil might be, but they may have interest in Clark Schmidt. Because figure he'll just take maybe another step forward from here, and you might be getting even a better version of Schmidt in 2025 than the Yankees experienced in 2024. So maybe take Gil off the board, but offer maybe Clark Schmidt. Maybe Houston will bite at that. But you can see the Yankees again working just to kind of fix, and plug the holes left by not being able to sign Juan Soto. And again, there are some in-house options as well. We don't know we have Jason Dominguez floating around out there. I can't imagine them starting him in the minors yet again. Last year was kind of a lost year totally. I know he had some injuries. He was supposed to be up here a little bit sooner, but I think, unless he has a disastrous spring training, they should just put him right out with the major league squad and let's throw him out there. I mean, we've been waiting too long on this guy for what, to take swings in the minors and get hurt, and so I think they should get Jason Dominguez right up here right now. So if you don't make the trade for Kyle Tucker, if you don't make a trade for Bellinger, and if you just go right out there with Jason Dominguez in center and put Judge in right, or if you want to make Dominguez the right field or whatever, that would be fine with me as well. Now, a familiar face gets coming back to the Yankees. He never really left, but that was Jonathan Loáisiga. I remember he missed pretty much most of last season. He only pitched like in 4 games, and turned out they had to shut him down and went through Tommy John surgery. The year before that, he missed some time with some elbow and shoulder discomfort, and then even before that, he had some surgery to take some bone chips out of his elbow. So, I mean, for his good stuff, again, when he's on, he throws 98, 99. He's got some really good stuff, but he's hurt way too often. And I don't really love this move by the Yankees. Now, it's not really a big gamble. They only signed him for 1 year with an option for 2026. But do we need another guy like this? I mean, look what we had last season. When Tommy Kahnle started the season hurt, we had to wait like almost halfway before we saw him. Scott Efros, we had to wait. He was down for a while. I mean, how many of these guys the Yankees have just coming off Tommy John surgeries? Again, they tried. This one I didn't understand. They signed Lou Trevino, a 5-year deal. He was coming off Tommy John surgery. They tried to rehab him. He never made it back. I mean, the Yankees had like 4 or 5 of these guys last season coming off surgeries, trying to come back. And, Kahnle did eventually, but it's like you want to root for Loáisiga because he came up through the Yankee system. And, yeah, when he was on, he was healthy. We saw the potential what he could bring there. But there's too many of these guys the Yankees just try to bring. What is it? They come back. They spend all their time in AAA rehabbing, and then like you don't hear from them, or it doesn't work out, or they have setbacks, and it's just a wasted year. And then even looked at like Frankie Montas from 2023. I mean, he spent 75 to 90% of the season in the minors. Then finally the Yankees bring him up towards the end of the year, makes like 1 appearance for 2 innings, and then he bolts for free agency. I mean, the Yankees just have too many of these guys that is coming off surgeries and Tommy John surgeries and stuff like that. So, is it a big risk, big gamble? No, it's only a 1-year deal. If it doesn't work out, who cares? He could just float away like Trevino or like Scott Efros, who came up here for like a cup of coffee. It was not effective at all there. So, don't love the move, but I guess the Yankees wanted to stick with them. They figure, sort of the devil is better than the devil you don't know. Obviously, they had the surgery under their watch, so they know all the details of everything. Whereas, let's say you bring in a player from another organization who also had Tommy John surgery. Well, he had it under a different team, a different doctor. You don't know all the details, and the other team might be trying to hide things from you. So maybe you feel more comfortable with a guy like Loáisiga, that you kind of at least know all the details of his surgery, and again feel that confident that he can make a bounce back. So, again, low risk, but I just don't understand because Yankees had to go through too much this last season with the merry-go-round of bullpen arms and stuff like that. And, I just thought it was it didn't really kill the Yankees in the playoffs, but in a way it kind of did. Because sometimes if you had to go to Luke Weaver or you had to go to your, as Boone would say, the high leverage guys too earlier there, then the Yankees were almost a dead duck, in the 9th inning or in extra innings there. So I think it did hurt the Yankees a little bit, not drastically, but they didn't have a bullpen like the Dodgers, where the Dodgers could bring 4 or 5 guys out and just throw gas and it doesn't really matter. So the Yankees got to invest a little bit of money in there as well and get a good stable bullpen and not just 1 or 2 guys only. And then the other guys are kind of like meh. In a rotation, you need Ramiro Mendoza, Stanton, Nelson, Rivera. You need 4 or 5 guys out there you could depend on. Or Damaso Marte, remember, during the 2009 run for the Yankees, he had Damaso Marte coming out there, Mariano. I mean, you had a few guys at least. Phil Hughes, was a good setup man, even though he wasn't used much in the postseason. But you need at least 3 or 4 really, really, really good guys, not just 1 or 2 there. So hopefully Cashman can make some improvements there. So the Yankees, even though they struck out on Juan Soto, get right back in the mix. Record-breaking contract for a left-handed starter and Max Fried definitely upgrades the Yankee starting rotation and makes it one of the tops, in the American League, and maybe you could say all of baseball right now. And I know the Yankees aren't going to be done. They're probably going to want to bring in another outfield, so whether it's Tucker or Bellinger. And again, you're hearing some rumors that the Yankees kind of reignited the stove again on Christian Walker for first base. So, if you lose Soto, boo-hoo, you could still improve in 4 or 5 different areas, and maybe that's even a better team than if you would have had Juan Soto. So remains to be seen. Catch you next time.